It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the program Healthy Living with yours sincerely, Oluije Oikokai. Today on Healthy Living, we are looking at International Day of Zero Tolerance to Female Genital Mutilation. Now, on the 6th of February, the International Day was celebrated of zero tolerance to female genital mutilation. Now, more than 200 million girls and women alive today have undergone female genital mutilation. This year, nearly 4.4 million girls will be at risk of this harmful practice. This equates to more than 12,000 cases every year. Okay, I'll say that again, 12,000 cases every year. Now today's the theme happens to be Step Up the Pace, Strengthening Alliance and Building Movements to End Female Genital Mutilation. Now to do that with us is the person of Ado Dorcas. She is the Assistant Director of Nursing, Public Health Nursing. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, it's my pleasure.
And we also have a representative of the Coordinator Health and Care NRCS, that is Nigeria Road Red Cross Society, Edo State branch. She is Nafisat Alison. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go quickly to Mrs. Ado. Female genital mutilation. Now, this is something that has to do with us as women, with us as girls also. Now, first off, what is female genital mutilation?
Thank you very much for that nice question. Female genital mutilation is something that is becoming a household word, not only in Nigeria, but globally. Okay. So you might now wonder what it means. It means the partial or total removal of some parts of the clitoris or the vulva without any medical reason. And so that's what female genital mutilation is.
Okay. Now, we used to know that, we used to hear of female circumcision, circumcision. Are they the same? Female genital mutilation and female circumcision, are they the same?
Well, for the benefit of this program, we want to term it as FGM because the word is long. Female genital mutilation, or FGM, is same thing as female circumcision. It's only like giving a beautiful dog another name to garnish it so that many persons will not look out to it as if, wow, this position is wrong. Well, same name, same procedure.
Okay. All right, now to Nafisat, we know that as a member of the Red Cross Society, are there cases that in your own area you have gone to proffer solution to in your area of specialization?
Thank you very much. It takes me to what the Nigerian Red Cross is about. The Nigerian Red Cross Society is an internationally recognized organization, and one key mandate for us is to alleviate human suffering. So in alleviating this suffering, you just find that everything that has to do with injuring humans in their comfort zones, anything that makes you uncomfortable at all, is something that we derive, a concern in and want to help you sort. And so FGM is one major concern for us that we have again and again ensure that we voice to people in awareness. This is just the one way that we still let people know that this isn't a right procedure that should be carried out. Then also let people around, within and outside the states, also know that this actually causes human suffering, unknown to so many. Some say it as culturally inclined, some say it is spiritually inclined. But again, it is a harmful suffering to humans. And so the Nigerian Red Cross Society is solely against anything that is concerned with human suffering.
Okay, now I have to read this again to let you know that as far as FGM, female genital mutilation, is concerned, it has to do with you and I, being you a father, a mother, a grandparent, especially grandparents, the mothers. You find them saying, no, we did it in our time. Why will you not do it? Why will you not take my grandchild to go, to get circumcised? So you need to know that this topic is something you need to educate your parents, your grandparents, and everyone. So especially girl child. Now, more than 200 million girls and women alive today have undergone female genital mutilation. Now, this brings to play, in this year alone, we have 4.4 million girls that will have to go through this same trend. Now, if we say the education or publicity has gone round to educate mothers, to educate parents as regards female genital mutilation, FGM. Now, why is this rising case, or why is this, do we still have these cases being risen as much as 4.4 million girls? Now, I have to talk to Mrs. Adu concerning that. So what are government organizations doing? Like for yourself, now you're a nurse, what have you done to let women know that if your mother-in-law, or if your mother tells you, this girl, you will have to take her for circumcision, no? Yeah. So what's your role in that?
First, we want to look into why this problem is not even coming at all.
Yes.
And one of the major reasons has to do with religious beliefs, cultural beliefs. You see norms, everybody wants to say this is how
it used to be.
This is how it used to be, and it must continue. Apart from that, we also look at our own families. They feel if you do not engage in such things, it's as if, oh, this child is going to be promiscuous. There are a lot of misconceptions about FGM. And because of this, trying to curb this people even to the rural or the urban area is becoming difficult. So take, for example, the question you asked. As public health nurses, what do? We keep counseling. We keep health educating. We keep reaching out to these persons, like an advocacy group, to reach out to those, even in the villages. But this time, we want to start it from the house. Like in University of Benin Teaching Hospital, we try as much as possible. Why we are giving health talk at the antenatal clinic,
yeah.
we include it so that these mothers will know. But you see these pregnant women telling you, it's not a problem, it's my mom, it's my mother-in-law. And we try to bring down the complications for them, both the short term and the long term, so that when they see it or when they hear it, they will draw back a little when they are told to do such procedure. If you watch the clip, you will feel sorry for the girl child. True. Every girl child have a right. And this fundamental human right, one of it is such. I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. But don't forget, anybody that is involved in it, now, in Edo State, there's penalty. The person performing it, whether the traditional birth attendant or the circumciser, the guardian involved, bringing the child, then even you as an adult, taking the child there. Then let me tell you, it's not only children from 10 months to 5 years or 12 years that is engaged in it. You see children from 15 years to 49 years. Some even at marriageable age. And when they are getting married, they'll say, this is my culture. You have to do it. Some even in the night of the marriage. It's really, really painful, and it's something everyone, both religious leaders, the health educators, the nurses. So we'll keep giving health talks. We'll go to market to give health talk. We'll reach out to the elderly ones in the community so that they should be the one to take it down to the grassroots for them to understand, but we'll keep talking.
Okay. Now, before we go to, you said the parents or the women during your health talks, they did talk about their parents, their mothers, and their mother-in-law. Now, has there been any way as a public health nurse, you guys have come together to say, okay, let's invite these mother-in-laws, let's invite these mothers to let them know that and show them videos? Because I believe, most times when we're teaching the children, kids especially, we tend to show a pictorial effect for them to understand what this is actually about. Do you feel this is something you as an health educator can do in order for you to broaden their horizon as regards female genital mutilation?
Sure, everyone is involved. I'll give you an example. I was driving through a community a few months back. I saw some group of persons gathering. with a baby bath. And I thought maybe the child was sick or running temperature or something. I packed.
Yeah.
Coming there, I met a grandmother scraping off, let me just put it, cutting off. Let me not exaggerate it. It was a bad scenario. I had to start, they started speaking the dialect. I understand Benin very well. And after that, I had to talk to the husband and the wife. The wife isn't even budge. It's even the man that was trying to get the sense. But the deed has been done. So if we're able to reach out to these persons, I think reaching out to both the mothers and the husband will go a long way. So even while we are at the marketplace, we can help educate them. If we are at churches, we can do so. Even in the bus, you hear some talking sometimes. You can educate them. Why? The complications are enormous. We can't count them.
Okay. Now, before we talk about the risk factors, now let's talk to Nafisat. Being a Red Cross member, now, you guys cover a wider reach of persons. Where has this talk gotten to? How far has this talk been?
Thank you very much. Again, Nigerian Red Cross Society has over 1,000 volunteers in every state in the country. And so by virtue of this, usually what we do is go to the community. That's the grassroots level. You know, there's something we do about community engagement. So we have that the traditional rulers, the people themselves, very key influencers in the communities. You reach out to those persons. Those persons that can easily speak to their persons. She talked about dialect. If she couldn't speak the dialect, maybe they would have just said something and maybe chase her away.
Yes. Understand.
So even if we go to places where, and that's why having volunteers in those states are important. Those persons that can communicate to them. So even as a stranger in that community trying to come give support, we have volunteers that can also, that are based in such communities. So in such community engagement, we speak to these stakeholders, you know, tell them the risk factors and debunk some of the myths that they think. Because some of them think it ensures virginity. Some say it ensures marriageability. Some says no, that it is their tradition and that's how it must go. And we also let them know that yes, we know about traditions, but there are some that will not fit in this time and age because we are more educated than it was then. We know what the dangers are. We also know that you might just term it as harmless and a minor procedure, but it's not true. On long-term basis, you find that all these things we are seeing about cervical cancer is due to these complicated issues with bad instruments that these persons have been using. So as members of the society, we understand these risk factors and we are key about alleviating human suffering. So some of this community engagement helps us. We also let them know that it is not only in rural areas that these things happen. It will interest you to know that she said she was driving and met a few persons. And I'm sure it wasn't in one local or rural area like we would think. It is within us and around us. But again, we cannot stop talking about it.
Okay, now, Mrs. Ado, let's talk about the risk factors. We've been talking about FGM, female genital mutilation. Now, for some persons watching us right now, listening to us, they might not actually know what we are talking about. So let's do well to talk about the risk factors, the things that when they undergo these things, the child in question, what the child faces in future.
First, before we dive into that, we want to look into the stages. There are different stages that is involved when they do
the
the mutilation.
Circumcision.
We have stage one. If we have the, let me say, the anatomy of the vagina now, you'll be able to get it through. The first stage, they cut partial part of the clitoris or the prepuce. The second stage, they cut that part, the clitoris off, and they add the labia minora to it. The third stage, they remove both the clitoris, the labia minora, and the majora. That's the whole part. It becomes bare there, and you see them trying to switch off like a plain ground. So what will it cause? First and foremost, in the, let's say the simple one first, even the first stage, there's going to be pain. There's going to be bleeding. There's going to be infection. Look at a scenario where we have 4 persons lining up to cut off clitoris. What do you expect? The same razor blade, they just rinse into water and continue. That's risk already for HIV, hepatitis. Okay. Then infection.
Okay, you know what? I think I have to pause you there. For those persons watching right now, let's give them a little view.
Okay.
A little clip on what we are actually talking about on female genital mutilation, so you'll be able to understand where we are going to and where we are coming from. So let's take a look at this short clip. We'll be right back.
What exactly is FGM? FGM is the non-medical practice that intentionally removes female genital organs. Often, girls are cut when they are still very young, in some cases under the age of 5. FGM is practiced all over the world, but is predominant in 30 countries. In some of those countries, high prevalence rates mean that nearly all girls still experience FGM. There are 4 types of FGM. Type 1, clitoridectomy, meaning removal of the clitoris. Type 2, excision, meaning removal of the clitoris and the labia. Type 3, infibulation, meaning a narrowing of the vaginal opening, sometimes through stitching. Type 4, all other harmful procedures not covered by the first 3, including pricking, stretching, scraping, or even using acid to mutilate parts of the genitalia. Once more for everyone in the back, it is non-medical and has 0 health benefits, but it can cause a lot of other things. Severe bleeding, complications in childbirth, problems urinating, problems menstruating, problems having sex, mental health issues, shock, death. More than 200 million women have undergone female genital mutilation, FGM, with 3 million more at risk every single year. FGM is violence against women and girls, child abuse, sexual assault. Often it's about controlling female sexuality, a tradition to prepare a woman for marriage, allegedly to purify them for their husbands. Sometimes it's done to girls because it was done to their mothers, as a rite of passage or a coming-of-age ritual, or even without much of an explanation at all. It's a cycle of social pressure that's hard to shake, but not impossible. Actually, many people in these countries want the practice to end forever. And though it is often shrouded in secrecy, many survivors told Global Citizen they wanted to talk about the reality of FGM so that they can help end it altogether. We should probably mention too, FGM is not a religious exercise. It happens in Christian, Muslim, and Jewish communities, but there is nothing in any of their holy books that teaches it. Basically, FGM is violence against girls. So how can we end FGM forever? Education, teaching doctors and teachers what signs to look for and how to respond sensitively. Cultural intervention, survivors telling their stories to their own communities. Laws and policies, enforcing consequences when FGM is carried out and making policy changes that further deter the practice. The time to end FGM is now.
All right, sure know that you now have a pictorial analysis, yes, on what we are talking about. So quickly now, Mrs. Adu, you're trying to describe the different stages, and we could see the different stages right now on that short video clip we watched. So I don't know, can you quickly just, do like a little, analysis on this?
Like the first stage we saw there, you see there is a cut.
Yes.
The clitoris is just pointed little ended. They trim it off. It can be partial, it can be whole. That means they remove it. But the second stage, they add the labia minora to it. Then the labia majora is added in the third stage. That's where you have the hairy part in the female genitals. And so when they scrape this out, you find out the whole place is plain. That's why you see that zigzag listen. When it's bare there, they will try to do in a little switch up. And this causes a lot of problems. One, there's bleeding, there's pain, even painful urination. When they want to urinate, it's very, very difficult. Menstruation too, these are complications you see. These are short term. What about the long term? During childbirth, it is difficult. Before childbirth, let's talk about sexual intercourse.
Yes.
During coitus, it's difficult for the woman to enjoy, to have sexual pleasure. And so they'll say, because most of our beliefs is that they don't want this girl or the girl child to be promiscuous, they'll trim it off. And at the long run, the guy is now married and she's not able to get satisfaction when she's married. Then what's the purpose of it? But unfortunately today, you see that those that are not even trimmed off, or whether they are trimmed off or not, is how we bring up our girl child that matters. So if we are able to bring them up properly, we will save this lot of pains for them. Complications during childbirth. Instead of the expansion, as the baby is bearing down, you see there is laceration up. Because of the scarification there, it's not difficult, and you see the woman bleeding, not even able to push. The whole place is tight. It's really, really painful. Some go as much as possible, put in an episiotomy, a cut, so that will create an opening for the baby to come out. So there are lots of complications there. Keloids are formed because of the cut. If keloids are not formed, what of infection? Some necros, they start while they are up there, you see the wound not healing, and it's rotting off. That is really, really bad. The girl child deserves best. We want to say no to female genital mutilation.
Okay, now Nafisat, before we go now on the show today, what's your advice to parents, to government, to grandparents, to mother-in-laws? So what's your advice?
Thank you very much. So for me, I would like to say, very, very straightforward to us that this female genital mutilation we're talking about is a violation of the human rights. All of the needs that we think of, all of our reasons for wanting to do this is not backed by the law. And so if anyone is caught doing all of this, such persons should face the law.
It's 3 years imprisonment.
They should face it till
3 years.
Till the point that it goes round to tell a lot of persons that this is something that should not be done. Because I can imagine when the nurse was talking and, I might not have been in that situation, but there are some things that when you imagine it alone,
imagine how the pain would be like.
You're already so irritated, you're feeling for those persons, and you're like, how have they been surviving? More so, we need to also find a way to reach out to these persons. From your analysis, you mentioned persons that are actually alive, that have been mutilated. These persons have to be cancelled. These persons can be psychologically disturbed.
Very well, depression.
They are depressed, they are anxious, they don't see themselves as normal as every other person. They are not even, they're not proud of the kind of body they now have, because that's not how it's normally supposed to be. And because I'm a girl child, I shouldn't enjoy in my sexual life, because you feel that it will make me ensure my virginity, and these things don't back or guarantee fidelity. What will still happen will happen. So please, let us say a big no, a capital no to female genital mutilation.
Okay, now thank you so much, Nafisat, for that. To Nurse Ado, you are a woman, a mother. So what's your advice to mothers out there?
Well, we want to say no to cultural beliefs, though we still believe in traditions, but there are some that are very bad. And one of these is the female genital mutilation. Zero tolerance to it. And one way we can do that, the women can also tell their fellow women it's bad. If they have the opportunity, let them watch the clips.
Stand your ground.
This is just
an iceberg.
An iceberg. This is a pictorial. So if you watch the real process, you will really say no, and you will advise our children. So the girl child have the right to live a good life. Not good life in terms of getting to the other side, but good life in enjoying the sex life, being able to give birth to children without complications. And in the future too, we will not have infection or pains related to what our parents made, or our mothers and our grandmothers made us to go through, because they feel it's pride. But want to say no to it, we'll send the message home. We'll say no to female circumcision is a no.
Okay. All right, so before we go, to promote the elimination of female genital mutilation, coordinated and systematic efforts are needed, and they must engage whole community and focus on human rights and gender equality. See, parents out there, it's not by you, doing some things that you feel they are cultural norms and all of that. You have to bring up your children the way you feel they ought to be brought up. Bring them up in a right way, okay? So we'll be seeing you again next week for another exciting time. Thank you so much, Nafisat, and thank you, my teacher.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Auntie Adu. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
God bless you. Till then, have yourself a blessed day. Bye for now.